Superboy is Smallville's favorite hero, but when the American military, led by General Sam Lane, think that he's a threat, they'll stop at nothing to get the Superboy under their thumb. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Action Comics issue number 1092 and find out what happens next together, shall we? Alrighty then, so as we join this brand new issue, it seems that crazy old Mr. McElroy, a local Smallville town eccentric, has finally completed his life's work of getting his own homemade plane skyward. Or at least he did for a few minutes before the thing malfunctioned. Thankfully, Superboy is there to try and make the save. Now, even though in the present we see Superman save falling planes all the time, even big huge passenger jets, in his internal monologue, Clark talks about still being 15 here, and how he had to learn the finer points of aviation and physics the hard way. It's while attempting to save the plane with his super breath, a young Superman actually ends up accidentally activating his freeze breath for the very first time, which makes the save that much more difficult. In the end, McElroy's wife is overjoyed that her husband survived his latest machination, and that was just one of many very close saves that Clark did that week. Again, the subject of his secret identity comes into play. He says that early on in his career, he would try to vibrate his face to make sure that no one could pick him out of a lineup. But Smallville was different. It was his home. It was where he was from. He wanted to be a symbol of hope. He wanted to stick out an olive branch to these people, and over time, he would do just that, even if he did spend a lot of his career as Superboy pretending like he was meeting people for the very first time. Honestly, as a lifelong comic reader, I have always gone with the headcanon that naturally everyone in the small town that is Smallville knows that Clark Kent is Superman. They're just really cool about it and don't bother blowing up their hometown hero spot. Now, later that night, it's the big Harvest Festival fireworks show, but Clark is feeling kinda down. Mainly because he's got girl trouble with Lana Lang. She's not talking to him right now, following his superhero-related ditching a few issues back, and even if he did, it's not like it would matter, as poor Clark currently finds himself in the middle of a love triangle with, well, Superboy. Oh, the drama, oh, the teenage drama. There's also an interesting little tidbit that ends up getting shared this issue. Apparently, a bunch of old family farms in Smallville are going belly up and foreclosing due to a lack of proper subsidies. This is one of those things that's probably not important this issue, but no doubt will end up becoming important in this arc. Another major social problem that Clark is learning to balance at this very young age is trying to maintain his friendship with best pal Pete Ross, who is feeling very neglected, what with all of Clark's new work as Superboy. I do appreciate how authentic Wade makes this friendship, as mainly the two boys just quote Star Wars to each other back and forth. Clark vows to try and be a better friend to Pete and that they should probably go camping on the weekend, a promise that naturally he ends up breaking as his work as Superboy has him flying all over the world. The implication being that while Clark's life has nothing but problems and complexities to it, being Superboy is simpler, easier, more fulfilling. Or at least that is how an immature young Clark felt before eventually heading face first into just how hard being a hero can be. Mainly, you can do what you think is right in the moment and still be very, very wrong. You see, Superboy attempted to save a deaf woman from getting hit by a car. He did it easily enough, but he didn't think that this old woman might also have a very weak heart, and because she can't see what's going on, she ends up having a full-on heart attack right there in the streets. A bunch of civilians see this, and because Superman isn't a household name and symbol of hope just yet, the entire crowd turn on Superboy. The following panels really do an excellent job showing just how sad and despondent Superboy is flying through the sky, while also curled very sadly in the fetal position. Now, as bad as that is, though, things most definitely can get worse for poor Clark, as at that very moment, General Sam Lane and the American military finally managed to pin him down in Kansas. The general is mad that Superboy gave him the slip a couple issues back and is ready to absolutely drop the hammer on our favorite Kryptonian when thankfully the citizens of Smallville stand up to protect their hometown hero. Now, of course, this is General Sam Lane we're talking about here, and some civil spirit isn't going to be enough to dissuade him. It is ultimately enough, though, to get him to take a much more chill meeting with Superboy at the diner. Essentially, Sam Lane says that he's never going to let this go, that as long as Superboy is on Earth with these amazing powers, he's a danger, and that frankly no one is going to stop until they know the Superboy problem has been solved. Again, Clark is very young here, but he thinks very quick, and manages to firmly work out a compromise with the General. Superboy says that he is perfectly fine protecting the innocent, doing what needs to be done, even if that means working alongside the government. However, he will not be used as a weapon, nor will he do anything that ends up infringing on his own moral code. Sam Lane respects the courage that it took this young boy to stand up to him the way he did and shakes his hand, even saying that the spirit that Clark showcases here reminds him a lot of his daughter. In his internal monologue, Clark says that he was completely okay with this arrangement. I mean, it's not like the government has some secret weapon that they could ever use against him, only to smash cut to the case where Element X is currently being housed, which we all know will one day become kryptonite. Now, that's where the main story more or less comes to an end, but we also get a fun little stinger at the end, another look into the World's Fair that has been featured frequently throughout these first two flashback arcs. A strange device ends up going off, setting out a call for Superboy, but who's on the other end? I don't know. I guess we'll have to pick up the next issue to find out. And so that was Action Comics issue number 1092, everybody. And going into this, I was a little worried that after the conclusion of the Captain Comet arc, this series might end up running out of steam. And yeah, this was an issue that was good, but not exactly great. I gave this series all the praise in the world for Mark Waid really managing to do a great job showing the adventures of a younger Superboy without feeling like he was retreading a lot of old ground. And sadly, this issue really did feel like 90% old ground, really only coming alive in the last 10% where Clark has his showdown with General Lane. That, for me, actually did feel pretty new and different, as we did get to see a young Superboy grapple with how he feels about authority. Again, he was raised up to be a good boy. Drink your milk, take your vitamins, eat your vegetables, salute the flag 5 times a day, but he's only been Superboy for a short amount of time, and he already knows that the government, including Sam Lane, play really dirty. So I definitely respect Mark Waid for doing an update to this origin story where Clark is much more firm in drawing a line in the sand and going, look, I will help when I am needed, but you cannot use me. And I sure hope if this untold tale of Superman is where Action Comics is going to be living for the foreseeable future, that we'll get a little bit more focus on that. Overall, I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 7 out of 10. Pretty good, but could be better. Here's hoping the next issue really manages to reheat things. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow, and help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.